Hey trans youth! Before we get to the topic, just like every other Monday, we have plenty of announcements to give on Trans Youth Channel. And the first one, the really cool one, is that we have a brand new trans youth blogger. And we're hoping that he is just as warmly accepted as Erica and everyone else on Trans Youth Channel. In addition to that, I also wanted to talk about hiring wildcards. We are still looking for wildcards. We will probably still be looking for wildcards for a while. So get your applications into transyouthchannel@gmail.com. What you need in order to be a wildcard is you need to give us your YouTube channel. You have to have evidence of having a blogging position so that we know that your videos are good enough to keep the rest of our viewers interested. We also are going to need a schedule of the days that you can most instantly do videos. We need our wildcards to be able to run out, grab the stuff that they need, and then make a video on their toes. That's pretty much all we're going to need for you, actually, just those two things, being able to do videos on your toes and have good, commendable videos that show us you're dedicated. So send those to transyouthchannel@gmail.com. And while we're on that, please send some questions to Trans Youth Channel. And as the topic a few weeks ago on masturbation has proven, we do not mind sensitive questions. So even if it's the one thing you don't think you should ask, send it to us. It's completely private. We'll toss you on the list whenever. And who knows, you might get your question asked. Sky's the limit. So that's it for the announcements. Moving on to the topic, because I know that's what you really want to know. With all of the identities that you have in the transgender spectrum, how do you know that you are transsexual? With genderqueer, third gender, crossdresser, female male impersonator, etc., how did you know that you were transsexual? And I want to add to this because I feel it's very important. Do you feel that it can change? My opinion on the subject is actually very concrete. I've run workshops on this, and the first thing I wanted to go by was this thing called the klien sexuality grid. This is dealing with sexuality as opposed to gender, but it still applies. Just bear with me. So right here is a little tiny survey. I'm not too sure if you guys see this. I'll actually link the PDF down below. It's called the Sexual Fluidity Scale. And what it does is it takes your sexual attraction to people, your behavior, your fantasies, how you feel about things, your social preferences, and what you want ideally, and then it rates it on a scale from 0 to 6, where 0 is completely heterosexual and 6 is completely homosexual. Now, the cool thing about this is that it kind of showed, as like 100 people in this workshop kind of filled it all out, that it's very fluid. People felt very different and very heterosexual early on in their lives and very asexual as children, and now they're starting to feel more homosexual, or that they're more bi or the like, and it does change throughout time. Now, if you want more information on this, I can definitely give it to you. Simply ask for it in the comments. But otherwise, I wanted to connect this to gender real quick. I feel, as I went through and filled out my own sexuality grid, that it was very difficult when adding the trans element. And this kind of explains the fluidity of gender in addition. You can be completely fluid in both your sexuality and your gender, and it's very difficult to choose and identify with any of these things that you are, especially if you have limitations, such as you have to follow the gender binary, are you male or female, or you have to follow the klien binary, where you're either male or female and there's a scale in between. I feel that it is very important to actually look at the gender model you are restricting yourself to identify yourself. Now, as far as being a transsexual, this is how I identify. I am a transsexual, pansexual woman. I actually know I'm transsexual because I went down that route. When I came out, I spent 3 months. I actually gave myself a concrete 3 months to actually decide what I kind of wanted, without any research, what I wanted. And I struggled with that a lot. I struggled with finding out whether or not I want hormones, whether or not I want to just stay a female impersonating crossdresser, whether or not I'm genderqueer, what kind of male traits I want to keep in myself. Because believe me, while there's not many, I did have a few. I also had to struggle with coming into terms with being a transsexual. Do I want to follow through and become this stereotypical female according to the gender binary? Or do I want to kind of back off a little bit? Do I want to be a bit of a tomboy kind of girl? And a lot of this had to do with me looking into myself, trying it, looking into it, sticking my foot in the water, and dabbling with that identity. I rather identify with being a transsexual woman. I feel that I have come into my own on that. And because of all of my experimentation over the past months and all of my identities and everything before I even started transition, I am pretty concrete in this idea of being trans. However, because of the Klein scale and because of what I know about the Klein scale, I am not scared of that changing. I'm not scared of 20 years down the line saying, you know what, I think I kind of want to take up this incredibly male sport of bodybuilding. I'm not scared of that. Granted, I don't think that's going to happen because I'm kind of a little bit on the side when it comes to bodybuilding. Anyway, that's my entire gist on the topic. The Klein scale is actually a very interesting tool that I have used in order to identify myself, come into my own, and then show others the fluidity of sexuality and gender. I feel that that's incredibly important for people to know because it's incredibly important to come to terms with yourself inside and outside of various different gender and sexuality models. That's pretty much it for Monday on Trans Youth Channel, and I hope that you are looking to not just Wednesday with our new blogger, but every other day of the week for all of our vloggers. They're actually getting much better at posting every single day, but just in case that doesn't happen, we do need wildcards, so send that in to transyouthchannel@gmail.com. I'll see you guys later. Bye.